Imagine a scientist who broke every rule of her time, a Polish student who moved to Paris, never stopped working, and discovered new elements that would change medicine, energy, and war. Imagine a life of triumph cut through by accidents, secrecy, and slow, painful death. Stay until the end. The final twist will force you to decide whether Marie Curie was a savior, a victim, or something darker. Early life and rise. Born Maria Sklodowska in Warsaw in 1867. She grew up under Russian occupation and early loss. Driven and brilliant, she moved to Paris to study physics and mathematics at the Sorbonne. There she met Marie Curie, a reserved physicist, and together they became a partnership of equals in a field that refused to accept women. Against prejudice, poverty, and personal tragedy, Marie worked in a tiny, cold shed of a laboratory where she and Pierre examined mineral residues and measured faint, inexplicable emissions. Discoveries and achievements from that cramped lab came revolutions. Marie Curie coined the term radioactivity, demonstrating that some atoms emit energy spontaneously. She and Pierre discovered two new elements: polonium, named for her native Poland, and radium. The Curies extracted infinitesimal amounts of radium chloride from tons of pitchblende, measuring its faint glow and mysterious power. In 1903, she shared the Nobel Prize in Physics with Pierre and Henri Becquerel. In 1911, she won a second Nobel Prize in Chemistry for isolating pure radium, the first person ever to win Nobel Prizes in two different scientific disciplines. Her inventions did more than rewrite chemistry textbooks. They brought new tools to medicine. X-rays and radium therapies changed diagnostic imaging and cancer treatment. During World War I, she organized mobile radiography units that brought life-saving imaging to the battlefield and trained technicians, including many women, to operate them. Dark stories and personal tragedies, but woven through Curie's career are darker threads. Accidents, secrecy, bitter public attacks, and the unintended consequences of a discovery that the world rushed to exploit. The death of Marie Curie in 1906. Pierre died instantly when he was struck by a horse-drawn cart in Paris. The sudden loss shattered Marie personally and professionally. She carried on his work while grieving under intense public scrutiny, stepping into a role no woman had been allowed before: professor at the Sorbonne. Scandal and xenophobia after Pierre's death, when the press revealed Marie's earlier emotional relationship with physicist Paul Langevin. French newspapers unleashed a campaign of vicious harassment. The attacks were not just moralizing. They were steeped in xenophobia and misogyny. Threats, outraged columnists, and a society eager to punish a strong woman made her life intolerable for a time. Slow poisoning by the thing, she discovered radium and other radioactive substances that Curie wrestled into the world amid invisible, cumulative harm. Long before the concept of radiation safety existed, Marie and her colleagues handled these materials with bare hands, in glass vials and open benches. Over decades, she absorbed enough radiation to destroy her bone marrow. In 1934, she died of aplastic anemia, a condition now attributed to long-term exposure to ionizing radiation. The brilliant mind that revealed the atom's secret paid with her body. Objects that refused to die in many of Curie's notebooks, clothing, and scientific samples remain dangerously radioactive even today. Her lab notes require special handling and are kept in lead-lined boxes. To touch them now is to be warned away by radiation detectors. The paper and ink still carry the invisible charge of her experiments, a literal ghost of her work that outlives her. The human toll of radium's misuse. Once radium entered the public imagination, it became a commodity and a promise. Companies marketed radium-laced cosmetics, health tonics, and glow-in-the-dark novelties. In factories, most famously among the American radium girls who painted luminous watch dials, workers were told to shape their brush tips with their mouths. The result was horrific bone necrosis, cancers, and lawsuits. In the 1930s, a wealthy American socialite died after consuming Raditha, a radium tonic. Her skull showed holes eaten by radiation. These tragedies were not Curie's intention, but they are a direct human cost of the materials she brought into the light. The ambiguity of medicine and weaponry. Curie's discoveries were double-edged. Radium therapies offered hope against cancers that had been untreatable. X-rays saved countless lives in wartime and peacetime. Yet the same physics later enabled the splitting of the atom and weapons that could obliterate cities. Curie herself never worked on bombs, but the scientific path she opened became a route to both healing and annihilation. That ambiguity is part of the darker line running through her legacy. Brilliance yields tools. Tools have no moral compass. Her last years in public memory, Marie continued to work until her health collapsed. She kept an austere life, focused on research and education, and she defended open science by refusing to patent the radium extraction process. She wanted its benefits available to others. After her death in 1934, she was honored as a national hero in France and as an icon for women in science. Yet the same society that lauded her also forgot many victims of radium's misuse. And her grave and trophies carry an ironic whisper. The things that made her immortal also made her dangerous. Denouement and final twist here is the twist that should keep you thinking after the credits roll. The darkest story about Marie Curie is not simply that she suffered or that others were harmed by radium. The darker truth is that the world can celebrate genius while failing to confront the slow violence that follows discovery. Curie taught us to look at the invisible, to measure what cannot be seen. But the world she helped illuminate was not prepared morally or legally for the invisible harms her discoveries unleashed. Think about this image. Her notebooks, still radioactive, sealed behind lead and warnings. They are both a treasure and a danger, a perfect symbol. The product of a life devoted to revealing hidden forces has become an object that still hurts us if we touch it unprepared. Marie Curie's life is therefore a lesson with no easy moral. Science can break limits and save lives, but it can also seed suffering that outlives its author. We continue to benefit from her work and to pay for its costs. If you stayed until the end, ask yourself which part of the story matters most: the Nobel medals and mobile X-ray units, or the silent victims whose names are rarely spoken. Maybe the real legacy is the responsibility she accidentally bequeathed to all of us, to pursue discovery with curiosity and courage, but also with foresight and care. If you want, I can trim this script to exactly 7 minutes 30 seconds at a chosen speaking speed, add suggested shot directions, or convert it into a voiceover-ready track with timing marks. Which would you prefer next? Thank you for watching. If you want more stories like this, give it a like. Good luck.